Back rooted to the second game here of FURIA versus Loud.
And yeah, we're straight off into the draft right here. FURIA gonna be banning away that Twisted Fate off the start, and Oriana as well. So already seeing some differences in priorities in bans with Lucian as well coming down. This is just a completely different game, and obviously with different teams, it's to be expected. But finally, we see something that we may be expected. We've got the Akali banned away on the red side.
Yeah, Akali, I think you have to take away if you were watching last games. I can only expect that FURIA and Loud were. Good idea to keep current with what's happening everywhere else. You got to take away the Akali because that looked incredible. And you can't give it over to Annie, who is a very, very, shall we say, experienced player. You can't afford to disrespect anyone on the FURIA roster right now, and that I think is not only what draws the Akali ban, but something that I want to keep consistent throughout this draft.
Yeah. Okay. So I wanna ask you then here. What if FURIA are this? Oh, okay, they B1 Renekton, dear. Sorry, that's
Oh,
just thrown me for an absolute loop. That
yeah.
never happens. Renekton's seen a little bit of a rise in priority recently, but I'm not sure this level of rise is warranted. We've still got Olaf up on the table, and Renekton pick terrifies me this early on.
Yeah, this is an perhaps investment. I'm not going to go ahead and try and justify this, but let's imagine, Rudy, just you and I, that you look at the performance of Tay yesterday as the MVP, and you look at the performance of Skeeto, and you go, well, we want to level our Skeeto up to Tay. The first thing that we can do is draft ourselves a strong laner. And that's exactly what you do. Why pick a power pick when you can win top lane maybe?
So the thing is that they had this advantageous matchup last game for FURIA, right? Skeeto played into Camille yesterday, and had a bit of a rough time. Yes, did receive a lot of pressure from the enemies that they were up against, but I still think that Skeeto maybe it was, at least me looking back, was the area that I was hoping for FURIA to really step up in. And I
Mm.
think that giving Skeeto this priority in the pick is the perfect example for him to prove me wrong and for me to be able to eat my words and go, okay, FURIA, now I'm impressed that across the board, you're ready to go.
Yeah, maybe this is their way to try and weasel into your heart. That being said, they do end up getting the Olaf in the at the end of that. They in their first three picks just flies by since Loud instead opt for the Kaisa and Leona, which I like for Duds the Boy and Seos. Is going to give them a lot of priority. You end up giving over Olaf Aphelios to the other side of this, and all of a sudden, I feel like we've got very different compositions.
Yeah, so we've got already this sort of early game aggression out of the jungle support duo for Loud with Leona with Nidalee, and then Kai'Sa, somebody who maybe wants a little bit longer to scale up into the game, and Aphelios sort of fits that trend as well.
Mm.
But Aphelios, picked into the Kai'Sa here. We can see maybe to try and keep the Kai'Sa down, like we talked about in game number one. But right off the bat with Furia's draft, they've got incredibly strong top lane, incredibly strong early game jungle with the Olaf, maybe looking to beat the Nidalee in the one versus one. And you can see that obviously Nidalee got picked into the Olaf, feeling that that might be the good matchup, or that maybe they might be able to punish it. We will have to wait and see though, because honestly, that this early game is going to be, should be at least, if not explosive, definitely macro wise very demanding.
It certainly should be, especially to me for Loud needing to coordinate a lot of their lanes to allow Nidalee the space that she is used to, because Olaf to an extent can claim it on his own in the 1v1. I don't think the same can be said for Nidalee, so you're going to need a little bit of support from the rest of the Loud roster. The thing that I'm really excited about is, as much as the early game is cool, the late game
Oh,
specifically, although with the Gragas pickup, this could change.
I like this. Gragas is going to go top lane. This is the answer to Renekton, and it's been a bit of an answer to melee tops in particular. Jax springs to mind. Gragas is incredibly strong into Jax in the top lane, and at this point, I'm thinking Furia try and take Renekton mid lane. Like just do anything to get Renekton out of this matchup. Because maybe it's not the worst thing in the world, but Gragas is just incredibly strong in the top lane right now. And even yesterday, we saw a couple of AP Gragases come out from Immortals in NA. So
Mm-hmm.
there's this world where this Gragas just becomes an absolute monster on the top lane.
They pick up Victor ultimately, though, and so I guess
Hmm.
that's a set support, and then you're not putting Victor in the top lane, are you?
No, no, they're not.
Yeah. So this
It's going to be
is.
Renekton top, which is it's fine, right? And at the end of the day, they picked Renekton for Skeeto, and if Skeeto's not picking, if Skeeto doesn't end up taking the Renekton here, then the whole draft just feels a little bit awkward and a bit off in general. So I really don't mind that, and they lock in the Jace here
Hmm.
for Loud. So this again, this is another game where there's a potential for flexing between both lanes because Jace and Gragas both renownedly more in the top lane, but I feel like in this instance, Jace has to flex into the mid lane.
Yeah, Loud. I feel like we talked about the pressure points earlier and how they're really good at taking advantage of them. Evidently, they're good at creating them as well. These are two counter picks that we don't often see, and I haven't really seen anything that I think can shut down a Victor in early game. But you've only got those two in top and in mid. Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna get your shutdown on Beanie from? That's my question.
Yeah, so I really like that, but Beanie is going to have to be positioning incredibly carefully here. Obviously, up against Leona, up against Gragas and Jace, nearly every single person from Loud wants to dive onto this Aphelios, right? Let's not get it mistaken that the Aphelios is going to have an incredibly tough time positioning his way through not only the game, but the laning phases, the team fights, like literally everything that he needs to go through is going to be difficult for him because he's got these 5 dive champions that they don't even need to be anywhere near accurate with their skill shots. If Gragas just throws the cask somewhere near the Aphelios, it knocks him back, it gives Kai'Sa the killer instinct, and with that, it can just make it so much more difficult for him to take a team fight.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that I'm going to be keeping the sharpest of eyes on this game is the Aphelios summoner spells, because whether he's got Flash, whether he's got Cleanse, is probably the determiner of whether or not Furia will win a fight. They do not seem like they've got a whole lot of other options. The other thing that I'm thinking of though is that they don't have a whole lot of options to start fights themselves when you look at their roster.
Yeah, so the beauty of set here at least is that and I know that you're a big fan of damage in
Mm-hmm.
particular being on these sort of in state engaged style champions, and set is a really weird one because he looks to all intents and purposes like he fits the brief. The later and later you get into the game, he sort of becomes the opposite and becomes a counter engaged champion. In laning phase, you burn the flash, you just hex flash on people nonstop, and you just start firing your haymakers at people and all that good stuff, and it looks really nice. As we get later and later into the game, his job really alters to right. Well, Leona just engaged. What I'm going to do is scoop up the Leona, take her back into into the enemy's back line, and we're going to use that as our own engage. As soon as one person engages on you, the rest of the squad just kind of has to go forward, and it feels like a bit of a foreheading moment where you just sort of just kill them. You have Olaf, you have Renekton. The only way into this fight is through the front door.
Yeah, it's going to be a really big point of decision and a test of Damage's knowledge as to whether he's picking up people like Dine Keto or whether he's picking up people like Seos to take out from on top of Beanie, because both of those people really want to be on your carry and they do very different things. One of them deletes them and the other one sees these so other people can delete them, and that's a dynamic and destructive combination that you're going to have to remove one half of. Which half do you opt for?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that with set, it's always better to get rid of the tanks just because you get that bonus damage. It's sort of a leasing effect where you get bonus damage based off of the enemy's HP that they've built up.
Mm-hmm.
And Leona maybe doesn't build the most HP just because of, again, tanks, and tanks don't typically build so much HP as they would do. They're building more supportive items in the support role. So go figure. And it's going to be a case of taking the Leona out so that you can keep your Aphelios safe from CC.
You know what would be interesting is if we had a mechanic via which you did damage based on the adaptive damage of your opponent. That would be kind of cool.
You just,
Like if Silas had that, right? Because he's very anti-mage or whatever. He gets
Yeah,
his.
Kassadin as well. Like they just take the enemies. I guess we kind of have that with you steal AD, so champions like Trundle and that they take away AD
Hmm.
maybe.
I see it. I see it. I like the idea of having somebody with a slam or an AOE effect, a kickback. You know, like the Lee Sin, but that
Let's
has
rework
that.
Lee Sin kick to do that.
Yes, rework Lisa. I would actually be pretty good because he's a fighter, so he can outmaneuver. He can use their force against them. That's what he's. I don't know. I don't know if he practices jujutsu or not jujutsu. I've been watching too much anime, dude.
He's a monk, so he practices probably the more Buddhist arts. Not sure if jujitsu fits that brief, but
I don't think so.
we're-
I don't.
I can't say that I know.
I'm just getting this like picture of monks in my head just putting people in headlocks and tossing them. It's entertaining, but it doesn't seem like the sort of Lee Sin style. You're right. For right now, though, we're getting a pretty quiet phase as we do have most lanes not really wanting to do anything. Most of Furia's lanes want to play this pretty slow outside of the top lane that has obviously been training quite a bit.
Dear, it's Muay Thai. I figured it out. It's the skin. How did we not piece this
Oh
together?
my,
It's
you're
literally in
right.
his
He
skin name.
practices Muay Thai. You're
Okay,
so
let's move
right.
on. That's good. You did a beautiful segue, and it just occurred to me what the answer was, and it was staring us in the face the whole time. I couldn't let it go unscathed.
Thank
You're
God.
quite right, though. Very sort of quiet first couple of minute and a half sort of going on. You can see the jungle numbers. Furia actually coming out a little bit ahead right here with Follow being able to most likely pick up double scuttle and his entire full clear. Gonna set himself up quite nicely here. Nidalee did a full clear and is just looking to recall with her own 6 camps. So, conceding double scuttle to an Olaf early on, you can see that the jungle priority in combination with what they were hoping for would be top and mid priority has
Mm.
definitely paid off in the early game.
It's an interesting choice from Furia that I want to point out as well. Beanie has gone for the cheater recall and picked up the cull in this case, which I feel like is a little bit of a forfeiting of the laning phase, is what I like to call a cull. It doesn't seem like the Beanie damage style, but in this case, I want to know the merits of it.
So, whenever you can cheat a recall, the merits are just that you have extra stats, you get extra gold from the cull in this instance, and you tend to lose very little.
Mm.
We can see, I can't quite see the state of bot lane right now, but he is down quite a little bit of CS, so I'm not sure whether the cheater went wrong or if they mistimed it or if Loud were just able to hold it here. So we'll have to see if he does recuperate that farm and manages to put himself a little bit better into the laning phase. But I like the ability to just say, well, we're just going to farm here. Beanie was yesterday exemplary when we got to late game team fight, so giving him a little bit of gold that will gateway him to that stage earlier on definitely going to help him in and Furia in this game.
Surprise damage didn't cancel the recall there. That would have been really scary to me if I were Duds the boy. Like, imagine dying to a Cull Aphelios just off of a unfortunate recall. That being said, didn't happen. Manages to stay alive. It's just my solo queue
Oh,
nightmares haunting me. And damage now on the hunt for a few wards as Follow has hit the level 5. Olaf can take the dragon now if he wants, but I'm sure they'd like to take down Donarts first. He
oh.
peeks his head around the wrong corner, but does manage to get away with the leap. Furia, I'm not sure if they take the Drake yet.
They missed their window here.
Yeah.
Duds the boy is already back in lane. Seos actually held the wave, which was really important. That the Kai'Sa pretty much missed nothing. I think missed maybe 1 or 2 melee creeps in terms of experience and gold, but is right back there, has the serrated Dirk, and is going to be able to really pump out some DPS in this bot lane. And it's another one of those things that we can see. It's what INTZ did yesterday, where they or last game, where they were just a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger. And if Furia wanted that Drake, that was theirs, and they could have taken it with Olaf Ophelio set right there to pump out the damage to get it down. But they just were a little bit too hesitant, didn't pull the trigger, and they get punished by not getting the Drake.
Yeah, Follow right now maybe a little bit lost as well. Spending a lot of time in the bot lane right now. Is going to find Donarts and is up a level, but getting onto this Nidalee is so ridiculously tough. You can see Furia struggling a little bit for something to do.
And they're going to look toward this dragon here. Importantly, mid priority is in their favor. The TP behind coming down as well. Skeeto using his advantage to make this happen. A lot of resources expended for Furia, but they get themselves the reward.
Yeah, first dragon is going to fall. The Infernal Drake going over to Furia and giving them a little bit of a boost in stats comes at the cost of Skeeto's TP, most notably.
Yeah, so he's going to have to, now walk all the way back up to the top lane, likely once again going to miss a few minions under the turret. Maybe an entire wave goes down, but for the cost of an Infernal Dragon, once again with this quadra carry composition that we're seeing, it's definitely worth it. Damage going to be, oh, nice to find the stun.
Still got the Haymaker available, so we'll be able to actually chunk out Duds the boy in response here, and Beanie surviving quite well. Cleanse burned off the Kai'Sa is going to be another summoner that the bot lane doesn't have. Well, Tay shoving it in the top lane is shoving it in the top lane. That's what the Gragas do.
And even with that TP down, you can see that the Renekton is definitely winning out in this top lane matchup. Up 15 CS, going to be able to push this wave in. Fortunately for Tay, if he wants to TP here, then he has that option because obviously the Renekton TP down to the bot lane, but keeping it allows Loud to go for a play later on where they might want to use the TP.
It's interesting that Gragas in this case is also going for the Bami's Cinder, as I'd expected more of an AP build given the amount of threat that he can put out onto Beanie. Needing a tank, however, is Loud, so he'll be filling that position for now.
Yeah, gonna then be that Sunfire Aegis. We've seen multiple builds for Gragas, be it Night Harvester and full AP, be it what we're gonna see here, the Sunfire Aegis in this more tanky route here. Gonna be obviously that full front line, and maybe just feeling that with the way that the lane is going, he doesn't want to have to invest into AP because if the Renekton gets on top, he might just get melted.
Now we've got new true frontliners here, except for the Gragas, who is, as you say, investing into that. My question to you is, who is a better frontline? A full tank Gragas or a double gore drinker topside?
That's a very good question. I actually I prefer Gragas in this instance for the front line just because of all of the CC that he can pump out as well. I was I'd posit to you that what's a better front line, full tank Gragas or full tank Ornn was where I thought you were going to go with it.
Hmm.
But you obviously went a different direction, and I really like that. That they picked up the Gragas here. The nature of why they picked up the Gragas was to give Tay a somewhat decent laning phase and really sort of not shut down the Renekton, but keep him at bay more so than anything else. It's like one of those things where you're always trying to shut down a Kayle, shut down a Vayne, for example, shut down a KO because you know that that late game they're going to get there. But Renekton has a slightly different situation, and FURIA though they're looking for this Herald with 5 people here. The fight might ensue, but TP coming through, bit of a stagnant start.
Damage can't really involve himself in the fight anymore. This is a set that is just waiting to die. The Rift Herald does go down, and Tay can't quite burst down Skeeto. Even
Oh,
the
flash!
cask doesn't finish him off. And Furia looks like they're getting away with the Rift Herald, and not a kill just yet, but the Ragnarok is available here. I
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know, man. I feel like that first blood, yes, you could have just used Ragnarok and not been CC'd, and then
oh, Tay!
okay.
Oh,
I I
Tay!
feel I wait, okay. This is odd. I feel like all of the kills that Furia just lost were just mistakes.
So Ragnarok, I can see in this instance, he's like he wants to hold the cooldown, right? And at that point, it makes sense that you obviously don't use it, but maybe just not factoring in the Kaiser, I think, is the issue right there because
Hmm.
he's looking at it like he's got in his mind there. It's okay if Leona stuns me, I press ulti and I get away. What
Hmm.
he obviously didn't factor was if I press ulti, that means Kaiser. If I don't press ulti, it means Kaiser gets the opportunity to jump on me and kill me.
Hmm.
And you can see right there that that is obviously what happened. So you're quite right. If he just presses ult and runs just around the corner, he's probably going to be fine. But maybe the end result is the same anyway if they just wait out the Ragnarok because you don't get too far away around that corner with the duration, and a bit of a greedy recall from Skeeto, maybe a lack of vision. Really nice from Tay to use the flash and just pick up the kill. I'd prefer the praising of Tay and maybe the question marks of follow more so than anything.
Yeah, I'll take that for now, especially because Tay is definitely proven himself already in the first day right now, and Follow still with a few question marks as to what his actual purpose is on the Rift here, hanging out around the bot side as the Dragon spawns. Surely wants to take that and pick up their second Drake. I'm not sure if Furia will be able to contest it though, because you've given over
Oof.
700 gold, which is no small thing.
No, it's not in this early game. It's the difference between like the fully completed mythic maybe and not having it at this stage. And you can see that unfortunately I'm in the instance where nobody's picked it up, and before the dragon spawns, maybe we see Tay go back and pick up the Aegis. Maybe we see the Eclipse come through for the Jace. We'll have to wait and see. But they're actually just going to look for a fight here. Follow still has just popped the Ragnarok.
Once again, damage getting chunked out before the fight is pretty disastrous, and the Killer
Oh,
Instinct gets used in the bot lane. Beanie needs the flash.
jeez.
Whew.
Yeah, so this okay. I'll hold it here. Follow getting engaged on once again. Seos gonna get forced back.
Just the amount
Yeah.
of
Okay.
poke
So
on Loud is ridiculous.
yeah, look at exactly. That's what their composition's built for here. They have Jason, Italy, Kaiser, and whilst Kaiser doesn't strike you necessarily as this big poke champion, those Void Seekers definitely do a lot of work. And I wouldn't be surprised to see an Ashes Tooth in the infantry at some point just to enhance their composition more so. Because obviously, once you get the W evolve, you don't only get a large chunk of AP from the item, but you also get the reduced cooldown. As Annie looking for a bit of a fight, doesn't get anything else.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Annie's original username was, I think it's anyone, like, but spelled like Annie the champion.
Okay.
Yeah, so
And then now he's changed it to Any because when you said Annie earlier, I was throwing around all sorts of issues.
yeah, it's I say Annie because it seems like, I think, do I say Annie? I say
Yes.
Annie. Like, it's the same. I can hear the difference to me just ever so slightly, but it's so small. Anyway, yes. When in doubt, I opt for closer to the champion name because it was literally in his summoner name before.
That's fair. And I want to talk about this difference in AD carries right now. Look at the difference in not only the gold but the levels as well. Duds the
Mm.
boy is level 9 and has 1,200 gold on the Aphelios, and both of these guys are, well, actually might have to hold it as damage.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh no, the Moonlight Vigil whiffs, but does the boy could still get cleaned up here. And now Seos on the run as Aphelios is a monster here. That did not look like it was going well for Furia, but being able to turn it around just with the pure stats.
it's set. It's set all the way right there. The haymaker bait is just beautiful. Every single time you think you're gonna kill him before he gets the W off, you get the W gone, and then just true damage in an instant. You're dead. And really nice stuff to get behind the Leona. So even if the Moonlight Vigil was targeted correctly, he would have been blocked by the Leona. But uh, I somehow they come out ahead in this top bot lane fight. Like, let's see it here once again. Seos finds the opening stun here, and they're just focusing the set and immediately
My
almost
god.
get the turn back. Ignite goes down, the shield isn't quite enough, and focusing the support at this late stage in the laning phase, you can't get away with it. You can see Beanie unchecked for the most part, just absolutely rips through the Kai'Sa.
You know what? On the part of Duds the boy, I'm upset for him because you have no right. If you have no right to live there as damage, you should be dead before you hit the ground. But surviving on a sliver of HP just turns that fight. And now all of a sudden, you've given over several hundred gold back to Beanie, gotten him right back in. And as much as the levels don't match up yet, that gold is gonna matter a lot.
It definitely is, and the gold, as much as it matters, we're still not at the point where Beanie is back on par with Duds the Boy right now. You can see Gale
Hmm.
Force and Dirk up against just components of Shield Bow right now. That the Aphelios definitely struggling, and you can see that Duds the Boy is just so far ahead of not only Beanie but the rest of the curve. The Beanie's actually not far behind anybody else in the game. Just Duds in on the Kai'Sa really struggling to keep up with this Kai'Sa who's been funneled the extra couple of kills for this game, and also a lot of gold and a lot of resources seemingly from just CSing perfectly. Uh, this Kai'Sa definitely pretty scary, and we saw a fight down in the bot lane a couple of minutes ago where Kai'Sa just hit the W and just ulted onto the Jin with Q. With the
Mm.
new Kai'Sa build that you go with this serrated Dirk that we mentioned that he picked up very early, your Q evolve comes through so soon that jumping in and getting an isolated Q onto Beanie will chunk him for like half his HP just with one ability.
Yeah, you're going to spike relatively early, actually very early, with this Kai'Sa build as well. Maybe not the late game insurance, but it won't really matter for Loud if they can finish this off. Problem is they're losing second Rift Herald right now. Dine Keto looking to make a Dine Keto sandwich here, but the Ragnarok gets popped, and all of a sudden you're losing your jungler. Donarts goes down. Seos bleeding out as well, but they do manage to assassinate Beanie in the back line, and that's a big lack of damage for Furia. Skito's trying to make it up, but Tay flashing forward finishes off a kill, finishes off another one with the help of Dine Keto, and now Skeeto is just being chased down, tries to finish off some kills, but will fall one more time, giving a triple kill to the Jace, and Loud all of a sudden, that I don't, this looks unstoppable.
They've used their composition pretty much beautifully right there. They net themselves the Rift Herald. They net themselves 5 kills. They're going to be able to turn that probably into a dragon as well, which is spawning in about a minute or so. I'll wait for the replay here, but just look before the fight even starts. Look at all of the poke that comes down, like just from Don in himself, and he goes down pretty much off the rip. But a big EQ in the backline from Dinkado makes the Infelios fall pretty much quick in an instant. You can see as well that Damage and Annie are also taken just so low before they really even get engaged on. Dinkado picking up the double right there, and really nice stuff from Seos to be able to sustain and really stall out long enough for Skeeto to get into, or for Skeeto to die to the rest of the squad. But just using the Jace poke and all of the stuff that they needed to set up for the team fight before it just about began, will really set them up for great success.
Yeah, the Jinketo sandwich is, I think, my favorite move of this game so far, and likely Furia's least favorite, is that was the real difference maker to me, was having this Jace absolutely be able to blow up Beanie, keep that backline from being a safe place. Now you get the Rift Herald, you get to keep the mid lane from being a safe place as well, as this tower is expected to go down here with one more auto from Duds the Boy.
Yeah, it does pick it up. Rift Herald not going to get a second charge, unfortunately, but just underneath that turret there, you can see the potential of the siege and the potential of the poke. They go hand in hand, right? If you have good poke, you have good siege, and that's just how League of Legends works. Is you set up underneath a turret. Even if you have the herald, if you don't have herald, it doesn't really matter because you just throw your long range projectiles at enemies, and they're just playing dodgeball at that point. If you've got the moves, you're going to be fine. But up against three different projectiles, if they're all aimed, in a cohesive fashion, it's pretty difficult to dodge all of them at the same time.
You know, I used to play competitive dodgeball, Rooted.
Did you have trampolines?
No, no, we didn't. That would have
Is
been
that is that
cool.
is that
That
ultimate dodgeball? Have you seen the videos of that?
I have not.
There's like ultimate dodgeball where there's like nine trampolines in a 3x3 grid. And oh, hold on, Annie, are you dead? Annie, are you okay? You're not okay.
He's not okay. That was a beautiful reference and a beautiful pick off, honestly, from Loud. As they find that basically out of nowhere. There's no objectives to take, but it is just another injection of gold for Duds.
It's just vision really for Loud. They have a control ward on the top side, and you can see that luxury is not quite there for Furia. And Annie just stepping up a little bit too far forward, finds himself a solar flare to the face, and full might of the stun takes him down.
Yeah, actually, speaking of the vision, if we just take a look at the top side right now, it is all coming up loud, and that's really important as we're cresting the 19-minute mark right now. We're hitting 20 very soon, and I don't see you winning on the other side of the map either. For you, they've got to be sweating.
Yeah, Skeeto has got that completed Gore Drinker up against the Gragas, who's got completed Sunfire looking toward Thorn Mail, maybe something else right here. Has got the Bramble Vest in the inventory, so you can see that Gore Drinker really going to have diminishing returns at this point because with those execution, or not the executioners, with the reduced healing, those grievous wounds effects coming through from the Bramble Vest, does mean that the Renekton heal is going to be quite a lot weaker, and the Gragas going to be able to sustain himself just as easily because there's no grievous wounds being picked up by the Renekton. And it might seem a little bit weird to think that Gragas is one of those that has a lot of sustain, but when he's gone this full tank route, your rotations in spells are a lot longer, and you get your passive up a lot faster, or not faster, but you get more passive procs.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I was trying to figure that one out, but yeah, with the cooldowns being as they are, that makes sense. I was trying to figure out the whole Gragas passive thing. Well, in the meantime, that's probably what Furia are doing because they're certainly not contesting the Baron. There's no vision here, and even the Oracle's lens is much too late. Loud, sneak a Baron.
Yeah, and 20 minutes hits the board, they go straight for the Baron, and everybody pretty much levels up off of it right there. It's nice seeing those little graphics on the right hand side, and they're just so far ahead right now. They've got level leads pretty much across the board. They've got gold leads across the board. It's just looking beautiful for Loud right now. They took one good fight around the Rift Herald, and they've just turned it into snowball domination.
This is what stands out to me about Loud is their decision making in crucial moments, like we were talking about during that top side fight. But the question to me is whether they can actually finish this out cleanly because they've got a 3k gold lead, which is no small thing. It's not game winning by itself, but it's quite nice, and they should be able to win the game from where they are. Can they though? Because they were supposed to be able to win
Oof.
the game yesterday. Damage should be able to survive this, still has the Haymaker in his pocket that won't be able to involve himself in any next fights. The pressure is on from Loud. Again, can they finish?
This is what their composition was made for. They're sat there, they're licking their lips, and they're thinking, okay, we're going back to the dodgeball game right here. We're just throwing skill shots down mid lane, and we're seeing what sticks. If they can find, not they don't even need to find like enough access onto the back line. They just need to force them away so that the
Hmm.
super minions can do, or not super minions, but these baroned up minions can do the work. You can see they've split the resources a little bit here. Gragas is down in the bot lane, hitting on that tier 2, and until now, Don Arts wasn't quite there to help out, so they felt free to clear out one of the minions, but you can see they're having to commit so many resources just to take down Gragas that in the mid lane they're going to be quite exposed.
Yeah, moving 3, even 4 down there does mean they're giving up their mid tier 2 tower, which is a questionable play. I feel like that's significantly more valuable, but they stop Tay for now, and Annie has gotten back and is able to clear out minions a lot better than some of the other members. I would say Beanie and Annie right now, at least with the Infernum in his pocket, are going to be able to put out some substantial resistance to the Baron Dub minions.
Yeah, and as soon as the Aphelios loses that Infernum, then he's definitely going to struggle a lot more with clearing out waves. It's one of the funny things about Aphelios is that obviously all of the guns do different things well. Blue, incredibly good at team fighting and wave clearing as a whole, but you can see, just look at the poke coming through. That's one spear onto Annie that has put him down, and FURIA quite rightly going for the engage.
Yeah, they've got to start something here, and damage goes right into your backline. Nice solar flare, though, does catch out Beanie. Manages to use the cleanse, but now Tay with the double knockup takes down one, takes down two, make it three, and now Beanie falling as well. The cask finishes it off, and that is a quadra kill for the side of Loud. They get to march this straight into the base, and Rudu, they might just win the game.
That they probably can here. Baron both in the minions as well. Duds the boy still up and alive. The AD sources from Dinkado and Kaiser, both of them should be able to put the finishing touches onto these Nexus turrets. They've got Tay to tank up. The minions aren't going to fall just yet. The backdoor bonus is down, and this could just very well be game.
Yeah, there's nothing that damage can do right now, unfortunately. He's trying his best to, I guess, cut off some minions, but Loud, we questioned whether they could use those pressure points effectively. They can, and they take their second game of the